A new charter school with an African-centered approach for students K through 5 is coming soon to Appleton. Right now, the Omolade Academy is getting ready for its grand opening at Huntley Elementary. New at 4, Jamal James spoke to teachers and organizers about how they plan their dream into a reality. He joins us now live in the studio to explain. Jamal.
Cami, the African-centered charter school created by African Heritage Incorporated not only brings an expansion to local stream curriculum, but also aims to empower the next generation to thrive academically, personally, and in the society. This is the motto every student sees when they start their day. Officials say their vision is to create a world-class learning model that goes beyond the traditional education.
Anytime we take a young scholar, we want them to be successful. We want them to know that there's a place that they belong, that there's a place that accepts them.
The Omolade Academy will be a part of the East Wing of Huntley Elementary School. Teachers say they're excited to get in the classroom and make an impact on the next generation.
My biggest excitement is just making those relationships, building a community within this classroom and this brand new school. I'm just super excited for what we can do and what we're going to make this into.
Omolade Academy will have a curriculum that's similar to Appleton's neighboring charter schools, with some classes in the STREAM curriculum like technology and entrepreneurship. Courses like gym, art, and music will be in other parts of the building with Huntley Elementary students.
They'll meet the standards set by the district and by the state for curriculum, but it's going to have an African-centered focus that brings in cultures and experiences, all different pieces.
But they aren't just looking to inspire these young scholars through the academic learning, but also through the ways of how the classroom is actually laid out. Like the colors on the wall representing the Pan-African flag and royalty, to prominent historical black figures like Ida B. Wells and Frederick Douglass. The people bringing this academy together couldn't be more excited to see it flourish.
To have African Heritage Incorporated along with Appleton Area School District join together to make something like this come to fruition so that our community can see and know and understand and come together in agreement that this is important, again, just makes me feel really happy.
Preparations are underway for tomorrow's grand opening at Huntley Elementary from noon to 4 p.m. Omolade Academy starts its school year on September 3rd. Cami?